Welcome to the OddsBreakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
All right, welcome back to podcast 48-18. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neil. You can tweet me at the Public Dog, or you can tweet us at the OddsBreakers. You know, something funny I saw on Facebook the other day. So there's a park by us, right? And it's somebody was complaining on one of our community sites, one of our community group pages about kids, you know, teenagers going into the park after 8, 9 o'clock and revving up their cars, blasting their tunes, yelling out profanity and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe the guy takes walks over there or something. Who knows? But I thought it was kind of funny because he's like, you know, I even tried to call the cops, and by the time the cops get there, the kids already know they're coming. You know, when I was young, we had scanners and CBs to know that kind of stuff. But, you know, so basically by the time the cops get there, the kids already know that, and they act like they're, you know, being law-abiding citizens, et cetera, et cetera. So the guys complain like there's no way to get these kids away, and you know, was asking if there's parents there and if they know that if their kids going there. Maybe the guy must love this park. But somebody commented, which I thought it was quite funny, and I can't get it out of my head, but the guy's like, you know, if you like, I can solve this issue for you. You know, the guy that commented on it is like 40 some years old, middle life, whatever. And what he said is like, how about I show up at the park and go up to the teenagers and say, "What up, players? Where be the party at in the hizzy?" And then he said, those kids will never, ever show up at that park again. We have a wonderful show for you today. We have Kyle Hunter from Hunter Sports Picks to break down some college football for us. We also have some NFL we're going to go over, as well as our normal sharp line movements. This episode is sponsored by mybookie.ag. For a 50% sign-up bonus, please use the promo code TheOddsBreakers, and you will get a one-time 50% bonus. Terms and conditions apply. If you'd like to help us out, we would love to help you out. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a patron subscriber for $12.99 a month, and we'll give you our premium picks before the line moves, as well as access to our podcast early. If nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com and sign up for our free picks newsletter. So, before Kyle comes on, I want to cover a couple quick games here, and then I'll give you some more of our free picks section when Kyle comes on. Wanted to quick cover the Maryland versus Iowa. The spread's at 10. Over-unders at 47.5. You know, I got this at plus 13 and sent it out, but the line moves, obviously, et cetera, but I still like it. Iowa's coming in at 5-1 against the spread, and Maryland is coming in at 4-2. So these teams have been pretty good to bet on. I have this game about 8.5 in my power ratings, but that's not the only reason why I'm going to play this side. Maryland, like I said, is 4-2 against the spread this year and has a very slight net yards per play edge in this one as well. Okay? Both teams are about 6 yards per play, and defense is giving up about 4.5. So coming into this, you know, Maryland, when you have a net yards per play, you want to next check the schedule. And I think that Maryland here has had a slightly harder schedule. They played Texas. They played Temple, had that letdown at Temple. They played Michigan. Those are some pretty hard games, while Iowa has played Iowa State very early with their quarterback going out. Wisconsin went down to the wire, but we found out Wisconsin's not quite as good as what they were advertised before the season. And Minnesota, that's about it. So because of this and how similar this line is to, well, it is similar to the line we took last week with Air Force. Air Force being over a 10-point dog with a 47.5, 46, whatever total. Actually, the Air Force total was 47, or 44, but this total is 47.5. You take the dog because it's a 20% difference. It's 20% of the total. The total would have to be over 50 points for 10 points to not be 20%. So same theory here, but mostly if you look at these teams, Maryland can move the ball. Iowa is not a team that that necessarily blows people out. So I think Maryland keeps this close. I think this this spread should be around 6.5 or 7. I'm taking Maryland. I took it obviously at plus 13, but I'd hit it again at plus 10. NC State versus Clemson. Clemson laying minus 16. Over under is at 55.5. I have Clemson by 18 here. Okay. So I'm not super excited about any sides here, but I wanted to quick discuss this game. One matchup. This thing's going to go two ways. One of the matchups I'm going to be looking at is if NC State can stop the run when they are averaging 3.7 yards per run allowed on defense. Okay, they're allowing 3.7. That's pretty low. And if they can have some time to pass the ball against a great Clemson line, and if they do, that Clemson pass D, that they allowed 250 yards against Syracuse and 430 yards against Kellen Mond at Texas A&M. So I think Clemson's a little susceptible to the pass, and that's where NC State shines. So if they can stop the run here, get a little time to throw that ball and game plan properly, you'd want to be on the NC State side. But if you think that 3.7 yards per run is complete BS, then Clemson could control the game and easily just run their way to a 40-10 type victory. So that's what I'd be worried about coming into this game. The fact that Clemson's at home worries me. If you look at their schedules, Clemson really hasn't played a ton. They played Texas A&M early and got out-yarded by them. Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, home against Syracuse too, Furman, and then a very, very undisciplined Wake Forest team, right? They blew Wake Forest out. I think this spread might be a little inflated by that. But NC State, they haven't played anyone either. No ranked teams. They played Virginia, and they did beat Virginia handily, but they beat them at home because of the pass game, and they stopped the run. Probably stacked the box a bit. Boston College, they only beat by 5 points. They played Georgia State and James Madison. Neither team had great schedules. So you wonder which team is for real here. Because of the fact that I'm not sure if Clemson's just going to run all over them, and the fact that Syracuse is going to have time to pass, NC State's going to have time to pass this ball, it's right now a no play for me. But if I do have a play on this game, I promise I will tweet it out by Saturday. Maybe look at a total here. I think that there's too many question marks here. Clemson, I believe, is coming off a bye for this game. And NC State's actually coming off a bye as well. If you're looking at against the spread record, 3-2 for NC State and 2-4 for Clemson. No big surprises there. Clemson's been favored in all their games. They're probably going to be favored in all their games in their schedule. So we'll see what happens. I would, if I had a lean on this game, I guess I would lean NC State because they do pretty well against the run. And if they can jump Clemson a little bit, they can stack the box. So we'll let you know if we have a play on that. Some of our premium plays that we sent out are Fresno State versus New Mexico, Georgia State versus Arkansas State, Colorado versus Washington, and Kansas versus Texas Tech. Those are the 4 games that we sent out as premium plays. Now, without further ado, let's bring on someone who knows a hell of a lot about totals as well as college football, Mr. Kyle Hunter. Now I'm very happy to welcome back a very decorated professional handicapper, Mr. Kyle Hunter from HunterSportsPicks.com. You can follow him on Twitter at KyleHunterPicks or subscribe to his newsletter at HunterSportsPicks.com. What's happening, Kyle?
Hey, it's good to be back.
Hey, man. This season is rolling by, isn't it? All the way up to week 8. It's just amazing how fast college football goes here. People are starting to actually dig their teeth into a little bit of NCAA preview basketball, and I'm trying to find a little time to work on that as well. But the most important thing is football here, and it's great to have you back. Real excited. You've always been just a master at the totals and the over-unders. Wanted to ask you, what kind of advice could you give our listeners on how to handicap teams coming off bye weeks? Because right now there's a ton of buys, and then next week's going to be a time to possibly handicap some of those teams. What are your initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, initially, I mean, this is obviously sounds like a cop-out answer, but it depends on their coach. You know, if they have a coach that's really good with extra prep time, that's a spot where I really like to back a team. You can look at a coach like an Urban Meyer, a Gary Patterson, somebody who's been proven to get a team ready well over extra time of prep. Those are teams that you'd want to back coming off a bye game. And in general, I will say also, ranked teams coming off a bye game have done really well ATS. I don't have the number right in front of me now, but it's somewhere around 60% here in the last few seasons. So looking to back a good team coming off a bye game, definitely something you'd like to do. Now, if you flip it around and you say you have a bad team, especially later in the year that doesn't really have much to play for, I don't really see that bye week as much of a benefit to them. You know, they have an extra week to think about the fact that they've had a disappointing season. So, you know, that doesn't really benefit them in any way, in my opinion. And obviously, if you have injuries where you can get healthy, that makes a difference too. Having a bye week is a positive thing. Obviously, on overall, I would say the bye week is a positive. But it really depends the most on the coaching staff, you know, not just the head coach. And that's something I'll say, too, is that everybody just looks at the head coach. Really pay attention to these assistants. You know, who are the assistant coaching staff that you trust the most? You know, you can get some really good offensive coordinators, some really good defensive coordinators. If you pair that up with a good head coach, I'd like to back a team coming off a bye.
Gotcha, man. No, that's a great answer. That's not a cop-out at all. It makes sense. A good team coming off the bye comes back recharged. A bad team might not as well. Pay some great attention to the coordinators and the coach. So that's some great advice for our listeners. Does weather factor into your handicaps more as the season progresses? I would think, you know, obviously a lot of these teams in the Midwest and the East are starting to experience some high winds and some rainy days.
Yes, the answer to this is definitely yes. There are some spots where earlier in the season, weather is a big issue. You know, you get the hurricanes, tropical storms. You know, I've done well taking unders with these bad weather games. It's where I've made some really good money several years in a row. And I do well on totals in general, but when you get the weather coming into it and you pay close attention to that and you try to get ahead of the market, you can do really well taking unders. Long term, though, certainly weather factors more into the handicaps, especially like you said in the Midwest, the Northeast. Later in the season, you'll get some windy games. You can even get some rain or snow games. You know, the thing to keep in mind is that wind makes the most difference by a large margin. A lot of people like to watch and see if it's going to be really heavy rain or really heavy snow or something like that. Wind makes a far bigger difference than does either rain or snow. But if you can combine the two and get wind and rain,